insurance lady at Heavenly Gates since 2002, and I've been been with Heavenly Gates since they opened up in 1999. And even before that, I was an insurance agent for Security Plan. I know a lot of y'all have heard about Security Plan, and Heavenly Gates is partnered up with Security Plan. However, it's an old thing, but it's a new thing. A lot of people don't know about it. What we call is pre-needs. Pre-need is simply a prearrangement of an need. You don't need it now, but you're preparing for it. Just like we prepare to go to heaven, we got to prepare to get out of it. And a lot of things that we do when we are doing the pre-need is we just go down the same list. We take all your death certificate information. That's your vitals, all your information from, and a lot of people, when they get in there, they don't know grandmama's dad's name and where dad was from. That's something that you need to know. They don't know where grandmama was born in. That's something that you need to know. They don't know if grandpa or grandma was in the military and if they have a DD-214. That's very, very, very important, because now grandma and grandpa, anybody can be buried at the Veterans Cemetery for free. That means you don't need a plot. And we know plots at Carver, Lincoln, and Round Grove, and Forest Park, and Centris, they getting on up there. They start at $550 and $650 and up, if you don't already have one. Going back to this military record also provides you with the headstone for free, and then the family can be presented with a flag, but the main thing is a free headstone, and they're starting at $895. A free headstone as well as a plot in the cemetery for free. Okay? These are things that we need to know. We need to know if some people don't know grandma and grandpa's social security number. That's something that you need to know, because if one number is off, when I type it into the system, the Lear system, the Louisiana Vital Record System, when I type it in, if it's one number off, it's going to kick it out. And sometimes we have to change the death certificates months down the road because, we found the social security number. As well as they don't know what church grandma. Some of them don't know what church grandma went to. When grandma went to church. Grandma been in the nursing home for a long, long, long time, and we don't know her pastor name. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things are stuff that you need to ask grandma where she was born, or grandpa, who is this person? Who is that person? And if they had a plot somewhere, if they had a family plot, most churches now, if you was buried down at Bright Morning Star, I'm gonna use that for an example. If grandma, great-grandma, and grandpa, we used to go to that church, if they were buried at Bright Morning Star in the country, and they've been in the city forever now, you need to be in contact with those people down there, because now what they're doing is, if you're not an active member, you just can't pick up and go be buried there no more. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm giving you some hindsight on some stuff that I run into. You just can't say, well, I'm going to bury them down there with Grandpa Sal and them that buried down there. No, you can't do that no more. So you need to know where and if you have a plot somewhere. And if you don't have a plot, you need to prepare to get a plot somewhere. Other thing is, I have this list, but it's 131 things that you need to know. And I'm just going over some of the high points of it. You need to know if grandma and them have a will. With that being said, you'll know how many death certificates you need to do. These are the importance of a pre-need before you need it. You see what I'm saying? Because you got time to go back and ask them, or if grandma coming, she can tell you what I got. I got this, and this. Okay? And that's only what my pastor loves to talk about, is lining things up in order. You know how we order ourselves up with the Lord? This is putting you in order with getting ready for that transition. that what we do is you decide if you want a bulk or if you want a line. All of that stuff, we ask you questions about how do you want a newspaper notice, do you don't want a newspaper notice. All these things, we line it up, and we take all the information, and we put it in the system, and then we total it up. It'll give you an amount of how much the funeral will cost. This is an estimate cost. And our average funeral average between anywhere from $7,500 to $8,500. That's what an average funeral is now. There are three types of services you can have. You can have, you can have straight cremation. That means that you don't get involved, you go straight to be cremated. And that's a lot of things with this COVID-19, which she's going to talk about. People were doing straight cremations because they couldn't come, and some of the family members were sick and everything. Then you have a service and then cremation. You can have a service just like, normal service. Only thing different is you don't go to the cemetery. Your body is prepared and it goes to the crematory. The next thing is a graveside service. Graveside service is where we pick you up and take you straight to the cemetery, and that's where you have, we say from 15 minutes to 25 minutes, but sometimes they be a little longer. That's a graveside service. And then you have a regular service where you come to a service inside of a church building or a place, and then you go to the cemetery. That's a complete service. Those are 4 types of services that you can have, and you can prepare for either one of them. You can come, and once you say what type of service you want, then we'll ask you how you want to take care of it. You can do that by doing 2, 3 different ways. You can say, well, okay, Ms. Deborah, I want to write this check, and I want my funeral paid in full. You can do it that way. Or you can say, well, I'm going to send you $50 a month. On a pre-need, we're not going to call you to say you need to come pay on your pre-need. What you do is you just send it, and we'll send you a receipt every month. Or either you can come in and pay, make a monthly payment. Or you can say, well, Ms. Deborah, I just need some insurance to take care of. And that's where we come in and we write you insurance, and then we're going to call you every month for the insurance because we have to report that to somebody else. And with that being said, when you do a pre-need, just say, for instance, if Heavenly Gates was to go out of business, your money is not with Heavenly Gates. It's put with a company so that if Heavenly Gates go out of business or any funeral home go out of business, your money is still there. We've seen funeral homes go out of business, but that money is still there, and you can transfer it to any funeral home. Say, for instance, you get a pre-need here, and you decide, your children come get you and you move to Timbuktu. Well, when you move to Timbuktu, it's transferable there. At the time of death, all you have to do is say, well, I had my stuff with Heavenly Gates, and they'll call us, or either they can transfer it from or to. They'll call us, and then we'll say, well, okay, yeah, when you get a death certificate, then you'll proceed with filing the insurance claim just like that. With the insurance, now, just say, for instance, we have some people say, well, I got this or I got that, and I can't get no insurance. They won't get me no insurance. They've only tried the Gerber. They only tried MedLife, and they rejected them. There is a policy with security that you can get from day one. Don't let nobody on this green earth fool you and say that you are covered the same day that you get the insurance. You are not. There is a 2-year contestability period if you have any pre-existing diseases or health issues. Some companies have a 3-year contestability period. We ran into that one. But you're not covered. But there is a silver lining in between there. We don't know how we're going to get out of here. I can have XYZ wrong with me, but I get in the ambulance, and the ambulance can be hit. This is just an example now. The ambulance, and I can be hit by a train, and I could pass away from the injuries that I had, not from my ailments that I had before I got in the ambulance. That sometimes can cause you, when you get the insurance, can cause the insurance to double if you're accidentally killed. Up to the age of 70. Up to the age of 70. Ask these questions when insurance agents come to your house. When you turn 70 years old and you've been paying on an accidental death policy, when you turn 70, say, ma'am, that lady told me this going to end when I'm 70. We ain't do it stop. We ain't do it stop. We've had people to bring insurance policies into the house, and you tell me when I'm too long, because we've had people bring insurance policies, accidental death insurance policies that they've been paying on since Timbuktu was loosened, and brought it in and said, well, this is a policy right here Mom been paying on. Well, this is an accidental death. It stopped. It wasn't no good when she turned 70, and here she is 85, and she's been paying $2 or 40 cents all that time. Ask the questions. When, you know, I do it myself. I'm an insurance agent. I come in, I get the money. I say, you got any questions? They said, no, ma'am. And then until I start opening up the book and searching out stuff myself, say, Miss Sally, you ain't got to pay on this no more. You passed this time. You know, but sometimes we get succumbed with a lot of stuff. And we forget. So, you know, you get succumbed, we get succumbed, and you just come in and get the money, come in, bring the money, right? Sign on the book and go. No, ask questions about the stuff. Ask questions about the stuff. We have a lot of problems with family members saying, Mom been had this insurance since she was 30 years old. It ain't worth but $2,000. She done paid this amount in. Yes, that is true. She has probably paid that amount in. I ran into the situation where my great auntie turned 100. Some of her insurance was paid in full at that time, but she had been paying on it since she was sometimes 30. But guess what? This is what happens. Grandma, grandpa, they got children and grandchildren. They got more insurance on the children and grandchildren than they have on themselves. But the grandchildren ain't even got insurance on themselves, so Granny the only one can take care of it. But Granny ain't got enough for herself, and ain't nobody else going to offer, because how you going to put some trust in them paying it, and they ain't paying it on themselves? You understand what I'm saying? How many grandmamas and granddaddies got insurance on their children and their grandchildren? I see it every day. I see it every day. Pre-needs. The grandmas and grandpas come and put pre-needs on their children. Because the children, you know what type of world we're living in this day and time. So, what you say, Grandma had this insurance, it ain't but $2,000. But $2,000 is better than no $1,000. You think about it, if you came in there, Grandma ain't have nothing. And I say Grandma because, you know, but don't get offended by that, Grandma and Grandpa. But we bearing more this age and younger now than anything in the world. And not because of nothing they've done. Some of it is accidents. Some of it just senselessness. And you know, right here in Shreveport. And with the shootings and the killings like it is in Shreveport, we get more and more calls of grandmas and grandpas who want to see about something for their grandchildren and their grandsons and their granddaughters, because I'm going to say it like I say it at home. They just buck by. And some of it's our fault. And I'm going to the church here. I'm going to the church. We ain't trained them up the way we should have trained them up. Amen. And it's our fault. And I take the blame too. It's our fault. At Heavenly Gates, we offer, because of the pandemic, I got some calendars here that, you know, normally we run out. But because of the pandemic, we are all being safe, and people we ain't being like we should. We wait for them to come get them, but ain't nobody took them to them. So I have some here. I got ink pens here. I got Mr. Wesley Adams. I think he knows. And his business cards. And mostly I talk insurance. You know, I got some brochures here from security. I got the pre-need sheets. I got the calendar. At the bottom, you'll see the phone number. Just call Heavenly Gates and, you know, say, I want to talk more to that lady that came talk to us about insurance or pre-needs. I want to talk about one. I mean, I talk more than, you know, some people say send stuff in the mail. They wanted more stuff in the mail because of COVID. and one that's sent to them. Well, I just set up a time and I call them back and I talk it because I've been selling insurance since 1988. That's how long I've been dealing with insurance. The next thing is, does anybody have any questions? That's the most important thing because I might have said something this way and you might have another question another way.
I'm trying to see. You said your pre-needs probably run like $7,000.
You can, okay, this is what happens. You can say, well, I want a graveside pre-need. And you just start paying on it. You can say, I want this, 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 and this. Whatever you tell me you want, you know how some people say a package deal. Heavenly Gates does not advertise a package deal because everything we have in this package, you might not need it. You might not want it. You see what I'm saying? So we let you come in and select everything that you want, and we compile it. Let's Mr. West say we compile it into your personal package.
That's including the casket and everything else?
Yes, ma'am. That includes you'll make a selection of a casket. You'll make a selection of a outer container, which could be a vault or a liner. They don't allow wooden boxes anymore. You can say, well, I want to be buried at Lincoln. We'll compile all of that into a package. Some packages don't include cemetery charges, don't include police escorts, and you know now, I mean, we were required to have 2. Now they are requiring that you have 3. And when we go see Jesus, it's going to be 15. That's how long it's going to be before we go see Jesus. But you'll put everything that you need, just as if it was an at-need, but it's a pre-need. You put everything, and the only thing that can change with a pre-need, the only charges that can change with a pre-need are the charges that are not Heavenly Gates charges. That means newspaper notice, death certificates, the burial permit, which is $2. That's the cheapest thing that you can get dealing with the funeral. What else? Flowers, programs, funeral escorts, grave plot. All of these things that are called cash advance items, those items can change with your pre-need. But the funeral home charges and the casket, those items that belong to the funeral home are going to stay the same. No matter if you get it in 1999 and you don't need it to 2099, it's going to stay the same. Now, but those other items, flowers, programs, police escorts, all that stuff, those items, cash advance items, will change.
Let me ask you something. From 19, you say when you get 70, what do that money go to? Do it disappear?
That accidental death,
yeah.
You were covered at that time. You were covered at that time. That's the same thing as, and people said, oh, I could have got a policy with State Farm. It wasn't going to be but $15 for $20,000. Look at the line. It's called the term life. It's called the term life. And that means that you got to die in that term that you're covered. Most of them will tell you, if you go somewhere and buy some insurance, get your whole life policy. Some people say, well, I don't want to be paying my whole life. Well, we got something they call a 20-year pay or a 10-year pay. But never ever get a term life unless you just get it for a certain term and by some coincidence you know when you're going to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
And by that I mean you must go take your own self out. And that ain't even guaranteed because some people have tried to take their life and don't go. So that's not determined by you, but term life is for younger people with families. And I got that from my son. Younger people with families, 5 or more children. I say 5 because that's how many my son got. More children that if something happens to them on their job, they got a good lump sum to take care of them. But on the other hand, I'll say it like this: since I was 23 years old, that's when I started selling security insurance. 23 years old, I bought a policy. I think it's a $7,000 policy, and I've been paying $12.13 on that policy all that time. It ain't went. I done been through jobs that I done had 100,000. I done been through jobs that I done had 50,000. I done been to jobs that I done had this, that, and the other. But I still had that little policy there. As we said, little kick down policy. Had the big policies, and still got some, but I had that one all this time. Yes, I probably paid in that amount, but it's still good. And policies do have cash surrender value. Whole life policies do have cash surrender value. Don't just get in a policy, and this just for your a sidebar. Don't just get in a policy and be in it 15 years and say, I can't pay it no more, I don't want it. Some insurance agents just gonna let you drop it. But when you get people that care about you, they're gonna say, no, baby, look, you got some cash value here. Let me help you cash it in and get that.
Question on that whole life policy. So on the whole life policy, sometimes they will reduce the amount of your, like you bought the policy for one value, and then after so many years of having the policy, they reduce the amount but go up on the price of your insurance of the amount you pay a month.
That's why when you're sitting down with the agent, ask the questions of that. I know what company you're saying about that American Benefit. American Benefit. They had some old policies that they when grandma got it was one price. Then it reduced down and it's $300. After they get a certain age, it's $300. We run into that a lot now with the older policies. But make sure you ask all these questions when you're writing them, when you're doing them. But with security, it stays the same. I have not heard one time that it'll change. But with big companies, your premiums do go up the older you get, and your value go down. But you got to make sure it stays the same. You see some of them advertise on TV that your premium will stay the same and never change. Make sure you read that in that when you get your policy. You got 10 days to review that policy. Make sure you review that policy. And sometimes, like me now, I might write your insurance last month, and you might not come back till next month. The 10 days are gone by, but I'm going to still ask you to read that policy. Make sure you read everything. And again, I've been doing insurance since I said 23 years old. And I had my first family to tell me just last month that no, you didn't tell us about a 2-year contestability period. I was like, wow, I can't, I'm sorry. That's all I can say is, but that is my MO, is there is a 2-year contestability period on your policy. Don't let nobody fool you.
They put that in that little right. He's so real down there, you don't even say it.
But look, I said loud. I said loud because see, if you just sell an insurance, you ain't got to see you but one time when you write it up.
Right.
You can mail it in.
Within that 2 years,
what happens then is you get all of your money back that you paid in plus 20% interest. And some people say, well, I just might as well put that much in the bank. But how many of us know we got that over there in the bank? And we ain't going to put no more in there. And we ain't going to, if the first time the washer go out, well, I got this over here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you put, I think, talked to a man yesterday. He's been paying on a $10,000 policy. It became matured on this month, I think July or something. It became matured. And he said, well, what would have happened and I added it up. And he paid $79. He would, if something would have happened before his 2-year period, he asked me that yesterday. I said, you would have had $1,728. That's how much he would have had. Plus 20% interest. I didn't do the 20%, but put 20% onto that. And that's what he would have occurred if something would have happened. And when you come to the funeral home and it's like that, don't get mad at the funeral home because it's less than 2 years old. Any funeral home you go to, don't get upset with them because when you got the insurance, you know we've taken, it's like taking a gallon. After 2 years, then I know I'm good. But before 2 years, it just I'm in God's hand. You see what I'm saying? If you ain't got nothing put up on the side. And what happens is that the funeral home is going to give you credit for that amount. For that amount. And then if the funeral home is $7,000 and you only had $1,700, then the rest is up, you know, you have to pay it at that time. Or either pay so much at that time and pray that the funeral home will give you enough time to pay the rest.
Why the insurance company don't tell you the term like that? When you get 70, it's gone.
Because, let me tell you like this. They don't have people at heart and they want to make a sale. They out there to sell insurance. And that's what they're going to do. If you don't ask the question, they ain't going to give you no answer. But I found out, dealing with being as an agent and being as a person in the funeral home business, I got to see you both times. I got to see you when you get the insurance. I got to see you when you need the insurance. And I'd rather be in favor of you knowing, even when family members come in, I said, now, you paying this for your mama. Now, you know, and she got 2 years before it's in full effect. Or they'll call me and say, you know, mom in the hospital. I said, baby, we got to pray. Because, you know, the insurance ain't going to be good to 2 years. Okay? I pray with them. Because, you know, I would rather for my family members to have an easy road than a hard road. You see what I'm saying? Any more questions?
No. But yeah, okay, now, like the term life. Now, you got the policy, once you get 70, it ain't no good, but you got cash back in that policy.
Not term life.
Yeah, if you cash it out before time, but I had one.
Oh yeah, if
if I cash it out.
Yeah, you deal with it before time.
Yeah. So what they did, when I had cash value in, they took all that and started paying my premium bill, even though I was over 70. They didn't give it to me. But I have another policy where I just cashed it out. So I got whole life now, so you know, but term life, they don't tell you about it. You pay all them years and they just.
And then let me tell you this. I gave you an example of this earlier. I've been on jobs. Don't just think just because you're on this job that your insurance is forever. Had a woman was at one of those casinos for 20 years. She got sick. She stayed off work for over a year. The insurance stayed on her for 1 year after she was out sick. After she was out sick, after that year, and she died 2 months after that period ended and didn't have no insurance. If you got a little kick down policy, keep your little kick down policy when you own these jobs. Because, I mean, I say kick down, you know, the little side policy that that you can have forever, that grandma had. And then, even when grandma passed away, and she had this policy. You know the first thing we do when we find out grandma had a policy on us? Cash it in. And no, we ain't got nothing else. I'll tell you just like this. I have a cousin. His mother just passed away. My auntie just passed away about 3 months ago. And he wasn't talking about cashing in, but he said, I'm going to get my own insurance. But he's had a stroke. He's got other issues. I said, hey, cuz, you ain't gonna find no insurance cheaper than $42 for 8,000 with your condition. You're not gonna find it. You're not gonna find it. So I convinced him to keep it. And this is what I told my friend. I said, well, look here, cuz, you just sign the paper and I'll pay it. Because I know he ain't gonna find nothing else. And then if I let him fall by the wayside, I said, oh, well, he ain't got no insurance. Who's gonna fall back on him? Us.
Right.
And they being my family, they gonna come right to Heavenly Gates. I'd rather for them to come to Heavenly Gates and I have a policy on them than them have nothing.
Right. Exactly.
And this just a joke now, but it's true. It's a joke, but it's true. My uncle passed away 3 years ago, and he got some insurance with me. He paid for about 5 or 6 months. Him being my uncle, you know, I ain't gonna $42 ain't gonna break me. It ain't gonna kill me. So I paid the insurance for him for a good while. And about 6 months before he died, I said, "Look here, cuz, if you don't pay your insurance, I'm gonna cremate you." And he didn't want to get cremated. He didn't pay me no more money, but that weighed on my heart. He said, "Please don't cremate me." It weighed on my heart, so I couldn't cremate him. But, you know, I tried to scare him into paying his insurance, paying his own insurance. But however it could go, he got buried. We fine. But I mean, it's very, very important that you prepare ahead of time with a pre-need or with insurance or something before you get ready to use it.
Right.
And some people, this is what we say. "Oh, I ain't gonna know no way. Just throw me in the backyard." Well, that's against the law. You can't do that. I mean, we probably say it, but we can't do that. But I'd rather, that you call us ahead of time and get prepared. Buried a lady, over at Bossier Baptist. She came 6 months, perfect health. She knew she was sick, but didn't know she was sick. I didn't know she was sick because she looked good. But she was getting things in order. And that's what I made mention to her children and her family at the funeral, that she got things in order. And we don't know. We here right now, but might walk out the door, be gone. So, but we want to, it makes it easier on the family when you have things in order with the pre-need than when you don't have anything in order. It makes it much easier because you can say, "Well, look here, your mama came here 10 years ago. This what she want, this what she want, this what she want." "Really? Okay, whatever mama wanted." And then, all you got to do is just give us some other information of when you want the service and where and all stuff like that. But when you do it pre-need, it's all lined up. Mr. Wesley, with the COVID, we was trying to take appointments, but all you got to do is take one of these business cards. I have Mr. Wesley's business cards here today, but we got 4 other owners at the funeral home. 3 other owners at the funeral home. Miss Marie, Collier Mickle, and David Henderson. Whoever you feel comfortable working with. If you say, "Well, no, they own it, but I saw that lady in my church. I want to talk to her because I know her. I'm going to go in there with you and I'm going to do the same thing. Going to take my time and let you pick out what you want. If you say, "Well, no, I want a purple casket. I ain't seen no purple casket in there." I'm going to get the book and I'm going to let you turn to a purple casket and let you select the one that you desire. I see you frowned up. Baby, we didn't have purple requested, we didn't have green requested, and red. So, but we open the book up and we let you select what you want to select. And if at that time, just throwing this in for a sidebar, if you select the casket and they don't make that casket no more because it was 20 years ago, we will get the closest casket to that matches your price that'll go with that. Because my auntie, she died in 2016 and she did her pre-need in, I think it was 2002. So don't think because you pick a pre-need this week, you're going to go next week. She did hers in 2002 and she died in 2016 at 106 years old. And all that I could remember is that she kept telling me, "My casket got angels on the corners." So you know what I did? Made sure it was an angel on the corner.
All right.
Yeah. So, any more questions? I can talk too much. I can go on and on because, this is something that I do. And this It's not something that I do just to make money. It's something that I do because I love people.
All right.
And I want people to be satisfied with what they do. I don't, I know it's like one of the owners at the funeral home say, funeral home, just like grocery stores, you go to the one you feel comfortable with. I want you to feel comfortable with me enough to call me and say, well, what about this? What about that? Even I have church members and family members that go to different funeral homes, and they still call me and say, well, what if they say this and what if they say that? I said, well, look, I can tell you what I can do over here because I'm here, but I can't make them do nothing over there.
All right.
I can do it for you over here, but I want you to be comfortable with where you are. Any questions?
Is it better to get a pre-need or just get a whole life policy? What's that whole term?
Whole life.
Whole life. I'm gonna say it like this. Pre-need, and I'm gonna give you a total example, just like the example I just gave you a few minutes ago. The man had paid in $79.50 a month on his policy, and it was worth $1,728. What if he would have passed away 3 months from now? It's worth $10,000 now. But on the pre-need, it's only going to be worth what you paid in. And remember, I'm going to give you a prime example. We have some nursing homes that send money in, and they send $25 a month because they don't give it $38, right? They send $25 a month. And they've been sending $25 a month in. This is when they're consistent now. They send the nursing home going to send it every month. But us, we ain't going to send it every month because we're going to get this sidetrack and that sidetrack. And $25 a month, just imagine if they had a $5,000 policy, whatever they paid, not a policy, but a pre-need, whatever they paid in on it at the time of death, that's what it's worth. That's the only difference. After 2 years with the insurance, there is, it's going to be worth the amount of insurance. And I mostly sell $10,000 policy, but I will sell less to older people when they can't afford it. But it's going to be worth that amount. And then you can, with the insurance, you can get accidentally killed, and it will double. So
but you still got to wait through 2 years before you.
The only with the pre-need, the best way to do it, to know that it's paid in full, is if you say, well, here's a check for $5,000. I feel paid in full. I ain't got to do nothing else. We do take single premiums where you can pay like $1,000 increment. Like when people got the COVID money. A lot of people in the nursing homes, they had too much money in their fund and they had to get some of it out. They do single premiums. Or if they already had a pre-need with Heavenly Gate, they just put that pile of money on their pre-need. You see what I'm saying? But I would say you still, just because you bought a policy, does not mean you can't use that policy to pay for your pre-need. It's still quoted in there. You know what I'm saying? But there is a processing fee of a pre-need. Because let me tell you this, Mr. West don't say, you forgot to tell me this. If you come to the funeral home this month, and you say, I want to pick out all my stuff, and there's not a processing fee or anything paid on it, that is only a quote. You have people that came to us in 2003 and died in 2019, and they said, she had a pre-need here. She never paid anything on it. That is really not a pre-need. That's a quote. That's up to the funeral director or Mr. Wesley, the owners, to let you, if they want to help the family, let it go for that. Because 9 times out of 10, it was at least $2,000 or $3,000 less than it would be now with the cost of living going up. Anything else? I want to hear about the keto. I need to lose some weight.
Any questions in the one?
And my number is 318-617-8801. Heavenly Gates is 318-222-8010. You can take any of the I'm going to leave all the stuff here. If I leave out, they call me. They must be got an issue going on. I am the office man. Everything will be here. Just remember, if you call Heavenly Gates, these brochures from security, just write Deborah's name on them. Some of them I wrote my phone number on them, some of them I did. But if I rush out, that's where I'm going, and I have enjoyed. This Pastor Scott telling him, since he wasn't here, I can't make him no peach cobbler. But I have enjoyed y'all, and I do want to stay a little while and try to hear from the Keto lady.
All right.
Any questions? Just call me.